Hey, I'm going to show you how to use your XREAL Air glasses and your Steam Deck to play PlayStation 1 games in 3D, so using side-by-side for full 3D with depth and everything. Um, so you can see right now, I'm using my Steam Deck. I have it plugged into a dock, so I have a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard that I'm using just to show you this. And then I booted into desktop mode, which if you're in the gaming mode, just hit the Steam button, power settings, and then desktop mode. So now from here, there's a couple of things we need to download to get this running. So we need to update the firmware on the XREAL Air glasses. So to do that, you plug those into the USB-C on your Steam Deck and then go to the support page here. I'll link this in the description. And then you can update it by clicking this down here. You can also use the Android app using the Nebula app to do this, but just through your Steam Deck, you can just plug it in here and then click on this guy. And it's pretty straightforward. Just follow the instructions. You will need to download Chrome and then just plug it in through USB-C, click connect. Once it's connected, say firmware update, let that finish, and then DP firmware update, let that finish. And should be good. And this is what will allow you to actually enter the side-by-side 3D mode on the glasses by holding down the brightness up button. You'll hear like a little boop, and then it'll switch over to that mode once you're plugged in. So then the other thing we need to get is the DuckStation application. So this is the PlayStation 1 emulator that we'll be using to run the games. So if you go to the GitHub page here, I'll link this as well. We'll go over to releases, and we're actually going to just click on releases. Not getting the latest release. We need to use an old release prior to the UI updates, because that is what will allow us to run this correctly using the mod that I'll tell you about in a second. So what you'll see here too is we're using the Windows application, Windows x64 release. They do have native builds for Linux, so whether it's like the Flatpak or App Image, and those are what you would use if you're using like EmuDeck or something. But for this case, we actually do want to use Proton, which is Steam's kind of bundle of like Wine and DXVK. Yeah, DXVK, which is like an intermediate layer that it uses to connect to the graphics libraries and everything. So yeah, we're going to use the Windows one. And then the last piece is we're going to use this helixmod, and this is what will allow DuckStation, or it's for many games. Check it out; it's awesome. It allows you to do side-by-side 3D, and it's sort of a hook that goes into the DX11 pipeline. So they recently released this Geo11 version that doesn't rely on NVIDIA hardware or anything. So that's awesome, and we can use that here. So just go to this page, I'll link it, and it's kind of buried in here, but this one, Geo11, download this file. So click that, and you'll download it here. Cool. And I will walk you through these steps, but you can come back and kind of read through this and everything. But cool, so that's everything that we're going to need here. Two other things you actually do need to download are going to be the BIOS for PlayStation 1. Actually, I mean, you should rip that from a physical hardware that you have, of course, so that's legit. And then same thing for ROMs. Any games you want, you're going to need to get those as well, but I will leave that to you to get that figured out. So great, now we have the downloads that we want. We can go about unzipping them and everything. So DuckStation, first of all, just double click this, click extract up here, and then just click extract again, and it'll just put it in the folder that you're currently in, this is the downloads folder within our file explorer. Next, we're going to do the same thing for our Geo11 helixmod, extract again, and then we'll go into this Geo11 folder, and there's another file in here, and we'll need to unzip that as well, or extract that anyways. Cool, and now that will give us these fix files. So you'll just take all of these, copy them, step back up to your DuckStation folder, and then enter that. And then right here where you see the 2 executables for DuckStation, paste in all of those files that you copied from GO11. And this is what is going to allow these to communicate and run in 3D. Awesome. Now we just need to get this hooked into Steam. So if we open the Steam application, we can add this to our Steam library, and this is what will allow it to use Proton. So that's Wine and DXVK to run it. So you can either add it through games, add a non-Steam game, or down here at the bottom, same thing, add a non-Steam game. So just click that and then browse, and we're going to navigate to this downloads path where we just had put this in. You can put this anywhere. It doesn't need to be in downloads, but just for example. And then we're going to use the Qt release. No GUI works too. Just Qt allows you to configure things a little bit easier because no GUI kind of runs everything in side-by-side 3D. And just for now, we're going to use this. Cool. So one last step to get this to run with Proton, you're going to click Manage, little gear icon, go to Properties, and then Compatibility. And then we're going to force this to use Proton, and we'll say Proton Experimental. Great. And now if we launch this application, we have DuckStation. I'm going to skip the update. And now we will do a few steps to get DuckStation set up. So first we'll go into settings, just go to general settings. And the biggest thing we have to do here, there's 2 things. One is, three things. Okay, 3 things. Controller settings. So we're going to configure this to work correctly with the Steam Deck controls. So we'll set the controller type to a DualShock controller, and then we'll load a profile and we'll choose the Xbox controller, and this will automatically map all the buttons. Later you can use Steam's input manager and like use the back buttons to fast forward and like bring up the DuckStation like menu and stuff. But for the most part, this will configure things correctly. For display settings, we need to make sure that it's using the D3D 11 renderer, which it is. That's great. This is unavailable if we run it natively, so that's why we're running it like this. And then enhancement settings, just make sure that the precision geometry transformation pipeline options are enabled here. So these top 4, some games need CPU mode. Actually, quite a few games do need this. It doesn't seem to have like a massive performance impact. The Steam Deck's still pretty powerful, so but we'll wait and see if we need this. And then depth buffer breaks most things, so turn that on. But these are actually what's allowing it to, like, it's trying to mitigate the problem on the PlayStation 1 that I think it's like, because it's like rounding the vertices to integers, it's causing the sort of wobble that you see of the vertices, and then the helixmod is hooking in through this pipeline and performing transformations for each eye to get the geometry offset so that you can see it and you can like have perceived depth and stuff. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, just make sure these are checked and then it'll work. And then I think that's pretty much good. Oh, BIOS is the other thing. You just set up your BIOS. So you can just point it to the path, or I like to just take the BIOS files and just drop them in this directory that it's defining here, because we might need to delete the settings INI for this at some point. And if we do, then it'll allow you to just maintain the BIOS without DuckStation freaking out. So you can see you have this sort of like virtualized file system, file explorer that it brings up whenever you try to navigate. I'm going to go to my computer and we'll do this in the file explorer here. So to take those BIOS and put them into the path for DuckStation. Oh yeah, I was showing you. So like, you see how it says my computer C, and then it shows you kind of like a Windows style, like file system, program files and whatnot. So Z is really like the root, and then you can see you have home here, and then deck, and this allows you to see like all of your sort of like SteamOS paths, so like documents, downloads, stuff like that. So if you have anything in downloads here, like that's where this stuff would be. But then for C, it's actually in sort of a weird path, so I'll show you how to get to that. If you go to just home and then deck, and then from here you need to show hidden files. So go to this little hamburger and click show hidden files, or Control H, and then you'll be able to see these dot whatever files, and go to Steam, then Steam again, and then Steam apps. Yep, Steam apps, and then compat data. And then these are the IDs that get assigned to applications that you put into your Steam library that are using Proton, I believe. So this latest one, modified just 4 minutes ago, is the one that we just made, and that will be for DuckStation. So enter that, and then go in here, and then you see drive C. All right, so now here's this like Windows file system thing that's doing, and then DuckStation stores its files in, I think, users, Steam user, and documents. Oops. Yep, and DuckStation here. Cool. So here's all your DuckStation stuff, your settings INI, and your BIOS folder that it's looking for, and then some other stuff. So take your BIOS files and just put them into this folder here. So I'm going to do that real quick. Boop, put those in there. Okay, that looks good. All right, cool. So now we have, okay, put that in there. Cool. So now refresh list, that should be good. Auto detect seems good. I usually like fast boot too. I mean, if you like to hear the Windows, I'll just leave it off for a minute. You can hear the Windows sound. Cool. So now if we click start BIOS, it should just boot up in 3D. Oh, you son of a gun. Okay. So this is a bug that I see a lot. It's a huge pain in the butt, but I think I have a way to fix it. It's this unhandled operand type thing. So if you see this, one solution is just scorched earth. Just delete your settings folder, close DuckStation, get this out of here, and then just boot it up again. We'll see if it corrects itself. Get out of here. I mean, we'll probably have to go and like reset all those settings now. But once we get this working, then there's a way. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Nice. Okay, so yeah, this is just like there's no like depth perceived in this, but it's just to show you that it's rendering the two side by side. Awesome. So now let me reset up all these things again because it cleared them. Just this boop, boop, and then I'm going to load up an actual file. So I'll go here, go through this file system, or what you can actually do is go to settings, add game directory. And if you have some path where you have multiple games located, you can do it that way. So I have all my stuff in, again, Z, home, deck, and then downloads. And then I used Warpinator to transfer the stuff over. And this is something kind of funny too. If you select it in the tree view over here on the left, it doesn't actually populate in the file name path here. You need to actually click it within the right column, and then that selects your path. So once you do that, say yes, scan. But anyways, I'm just going to load up one file for now just to get us up and running. Let's say like Ape Escape is a good one. And then hopefully this boots up. Okay. Very nice. Okay, if you just hold the tab button on your keyboard, it'll fast forward. So I'll just zip through all this stuff. Yep. Okay, very cool. And you can kind of see, I don't know if you cross your eyes or whatever, you can see that, oh, I need to give it a controller. It's going to yell at me. 1 second, load profile, Xbox. Okay, I think that's okay. One thing I like to do too is go to aspect ratio and just do match window. So it fills the entire window. So this might screw up the aspect ratio a little bit, but I think it looks nicer because it just gives you more like kind of screen real estate. But yeah, I mean, if you kind of like cross your eyes or whatever, you can see that it's does have some depth here now, and I can use my Steam Deck controls to enter into the game. Say new game. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yep. Fast forward. Cool. So here we go. We're in game. We're doing it. We're able to look around. So you see how some of the geometry is sort of freaking out a little bit. The ground is like not, there's like holes in the terrain and stuff. That tells me that we should try the CPU mode in this game. And it's a little better. Some games work better than others. This one, I thought it worked pretty good. There's just like maybe some areas that are a little bit worse. And then we can even turn the resolution up. This can handle it. There's a bunch of awesome stuff. Just like look into how to use DuckSpace. Like there's a bunch of tutorials on how to like optimize graphic settings. But one thing that I've noticed is actually that if you go to controller settings and you just say DualShock, the joysticks, now it's working. Sometimes it doesn't work. So if you say analog joystick, that can get this to work. But I was noticing that it was having some issues with that. But yeah, if I just go back to this, load profile, Xbox controller. Yep. Okay. Yeah, it's working now. So if the joysticks don't work for you for some reason, try that other profile. The last thing is that if you are, and I can't figure out exactly why this happens, but it's something like if you close, you can just, I'll save game state here. If you close the game window without first like shutting down the console, it can sometimes get itself into a weird state where it does that bug we saw before, where it's like operand error or whatever. And if that does happen, I've found you can usually fix it by going into here and finding this UI section. So this is in our the same path, like settings within our DuckStation C drive, this wacky path here. And then for the settings INI, find this UI thing and just delete that thing. And then whenever you relaunch it, that should clear that error. So if I like load this game state, yeah, so it runs fine. So a little bit annoying, but one thing I found you can do to work around that, and here's like the power off button, but one thing you can do to get around that is, get all the settings just how you want them to be, and then go to this settings file, and we're going to kind of set it to read only, or we're going to disable write access to it. So let's go in here and make sure we don't have this UI. See, tried to rewrite this UI thing down to the bottom. Get rid of that junk. Yeah, so get it in the state where we like it to be. Right click on it, go to properties, permissions, owner, and we say just can view. Say okay. And as far as I can tell, that prevents it from kind of soft locking, not soft, but it's like saving itself into a bad state. And then you can do other little things like just rename your thing here to just like DuckStation, Suicide Game, woo, whatever. And like, I think that whatever you name this actually shows up within like your friends list and stuff. So DuckStation, PS1, SBS, 3D. Yep. Yeah. So once you have this, you can make a shortcut on your desktop. or you can go back into like game mode on your Steam Deck and run it that way, and it runs fine. And yeah, once you plug in your XREAL glasses, like I said, just on the right side, there's like a little button for brightness, and just hold down the brightness up button until it beeps, and that'll put it into the side-by-side 3D mode. And then yeah, just have this DuckStation running whenever that's going on, and that should set you up with it. So yeah, thanks to everybody who made this possible. It's just really, really awesome to be able to play through these old games with like real 3D depth. Like it really breathed life back into them. And yeah, I really appreciate all the hard work from everybody who put this stuff together. So that's it. Thanks.